800 years of silence. The world government has buried it, burned the books, and executed anyone who digs too deep. But we know enough now. After Egghead, after Laughtail, after everything Oda has been building since Chapter 1, the Void Century is no longer just a mystery. It's a war, a tragedy, and a promise that hasn't been kept yet. Let's map exactly what we know, what's heavily implied, and what's still dark. No wild speculation, just the lore, taken seriously. Here's where we start. The Void Century refers to a 100-year period that ended approximately 800 years ago. During this time, something so significant happened that the world government classified all knowledge of it. They didn't just hide it. They created the Buster Call specifically to destroy any nation that studies it. They executed scholars. They wiped out the entire civilization of Ohara, a library island filled with archaeologists whose only crime was reading. That level of suppression tells you everything. Whatever happened in the Void Century didn't just embarrass the world government, it delegitimizes them at the root. Now let's go to the Poneglyphs. These are indestructible stone tablets, written in an ancient script that the world government outlawed. They were created by the people of Wano, specifically the ancestors of the Kozuki clan, and they were built to last forever precisely because someone knew the truth was going to be destroyed. There are different types. Road poneglyphs lead to Laughtail. Historical poneglyphs record the actual events and messages of the Void Century. And the Rio poneglyph, when all the historical ones are read together, tells the complete story. Robin has been piecing this together her entire life. She's the only person alive who can read them. So what do the poneglyphs actually tell us? Here's what's confirmed. 800 years ago, there existed a kingdom so powerful and so philosophically threatening to the alliance that formed the world government that it had to be erased entirely. Not just defeated, erased. Its name was removed from every record. We don't know what it was called, we don't know exactly where it was located, but we know it existed because the poneglyphs were made to remember it. This kingdom had a king, or at least a central figure, named Joy Boy. This is confirmed. Joy Boy appears in a poneglyph discovered in the sea forest at Fishman Island, and it's a letter of apology. Joy Boy was apologizing to Poseidon, the ancient weapon, for failing to fulfill a promise. He couldn't raise Noah, the massive ship that sits at the bottom of Fishman Island. He couldn't keep his end of an agreement. And he wrote that someday, someone would come who could. That person turned out to be Luffy. When Luffy awakened his devil fruit on Egghead and Zunisha said Joy Boy has returned, that wasn't metaphor. That was confirmation. Luffy is the inheritor of Joy Boy's will. Now here's where it gets layered. Joy Boy wasn't just a symbol. He was a real person who lived during the Void Century and made a concrete political and spiritual agreement with Fishman Island involving Noah and Poseidon. That agreement required him to fulfill something he ultimately couldn't. The reason he failed is still not fully explained, but everything points to the war that ended the Void Century. Let's talk about the 20 kingdoms. 800 years ago, 20 kingdoms formed an alliance. They came together, defeated the ancient kingdom, and founded the world government. These 20 royal families then abandoned their own countries and moved to a single location, Mary Joas. They became the celestial dragons, the world nobles we see today. That's not theory. Doflamingo confirmed this when he revealed the truth about celestial dragon lineage and the empty throne. The empty throne sits in Mary Joas with 19 swords surrounding it, representing the vow that no single king would rule above the others. It's meant to represent equality among the founders. But the throne isn't actually empty. That's the lie. Im-sama sits on it. Im is the most important confirmed revelation of the post-timeskip era. Im sits on the empty throne in secret. Im holds authority over the 5 elders, who themselves control the entire world government. Im has been shown examining bounty posters of Luffy, Blackbeard, Shirahoshi, and Vivi, and then destroying the images of Luffy and Blackbeard. Im ordered the destruction of Lulusia Kingdom using what appears to be an ancient weapon capable of erasing islands from the map. In Egghead, we got our first real look at Im, and the implications are staggering. Im may be centuries old. Im may have a direct connection to the Void Century. The silhouette, the power, the secrecy. Im isn't just a ruler. Im feels like a remnant of something that survived the war 800 years ago. Now, the ancient weapons. 3 of them. Pluton is a warship of catastrophic destructive power. Blueprints once held by Iceberg of Water 7, with the actual weapon implied to be sealed somewhere in Wano. Poseidon is the ability to command Sea Kings, currently manifested in Shirahoshi. And Uranus, which remains unconfirmed in identity but has been heavily implied to be something connected to the sky or to a living being with divine authority. Some point to Imu's weapon, some point to something else entirely. What we know is that Joy Boy's promise to Fishman Island was connected to Poseidon, and that the three ancient weapons together were likely central to both the original war and whatever the final conflict of this story becomes. Here's the turning point that reframes everything. The world government didn't just win a war. They won a war against people who had a fundamentally different vision of what the world should be. The ancient kingdom, whatever it was called, believed in freedom, in open seas, in a world without kings controlling everything. The will of D is connected to this. The people who carry the initial D in their names are implied to be descendants or inheritors of that ancient kingdom's spirit. Gold D Roger, Monkey D Luffy, Portgas D Ace, Trafalgar D Waterlaw. The world government fears the D bloodline because of what it represents. Roger reached Laughtail, heard the full story, and laughed. He said he was born too early. He passed the torch forward, knowing someone would eventually come who could actually fulfill the promise Joy Boy left behind. What's still a blank? The actual name of the ancient kingdom, the precise nature of Uranus, the full content of the Rio Poneglyph. What exactly Im is, and how old Im really is. Whether the One Piece itself is a physical object, a historical record, or something else entirely. Roger called it a treasure, but Roger also laughed when he found it, which suggests it's something that becomes meaningful only when the world is ready to receive it. Here's where we land. The Void Century isn't ancient history. It's the blueprint for the final war. The world government was built on the erasure of a civilization that believed the world should be free. Joy Boy failed to complete that vision 800 years ago. The will passed through the D bloodline, through Roger, and now it lives in Luffy. Im-sama, sitting in secret on that empty throne, is the last remnant of the alliance that destroyed everything. And the ancient weapons, the Poneglyphs, Laughtail, and the One Piece itself are all pieces of a promise that was always meant to be kept by someone born in the right era. Luffy laughs like Roger laughed, and Roger said he was born too early. That means Luffy wasn't. The Void Century ends when the world finally hears what Joy Boy was trying to say. The question is whether you think the world government can survive that moment. Because based on everything Oda has built, I don't think they can.